and we're off to see the wizard. And I'm proud to be an American. Oh, no way, I had a fish. The bald eagle gave me luck. Unbelievable. Gosh, there's one. Holy cow, giant. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the 200 Pond series. My goal, as the name would imply, is to fish 200 different ponds for bass and teach you guys everything I learned along the way. Now, I'm walking back up from the pond because this being a brand new one, as most of the series are, I wanted to know what the water clarity is like, what the vegetation or cover or lack thereof is like. That way I can be back at my truck rigging up the right stuff before we make a loop around this pond and probably leave most of my stuff behind, because this pond is pretty overgrown. And speaking of overgrown, that's why I'm wearing these boots right here. Today's video is brought to you by Brunt Workwear. Now, honestly, after years of doing this series, I was wearing gym shoes and flip-flops, getting my feet wet and uncomfortable as I walked sometimes miles to film one pond episode. No more with Brunt. These things are waterproof, ultra comfortable. They come worn in, out of the box, and I'm proud to say they're a sponsor of this channel. The boots they sent were the Ring Hybrid Performance boots. These things are comfortable, they are lightweight, and they're designed by a US Army vet and a lineman, some guy who does more manly stuff than I do. And like I said, they are totally waterproof. I even put this to the test on my last 200 Ponds episode. You saw me fishing for smallmouth from a spillway, and it was rainy all day. At the very end, my feet were bone dry. Now, the good news for y'all is you can use code TylersReel10 to save yourself $10 on your first pair of boots down in the video description at that link. Or you can click the QR code that's been up here on the side of the video, and that'll bring up the website with the discount code applied. And if you snag a pair and you're not happy with your purchase, go ahead and send them right on back. Brunt wants you to be 100% satisfied with your purchase. So thanks again to Brunt for sponsoring this episode. I say we quit the talking and get down to the overgrown pond number 130. Now, as usual, I like to discuss the conditions of the body of water I'm fishing before we get started. So as you can tell, we have relatively clear water. I don't like this green algae. Kind of has a duckweed feel, but I think it's residential chemicals. We've got some snodgrass, but you know what? For this time of the year, that's totally expected pretty much all across the country. But it does look like we have actual good, healthy coontail and then some what I call carpet grass a little bit further out. So the goal for today, of course, is to catch a bass, but I want to throw stuff that I normally don't throw. Fish just bust out there. That's why I tied on this, because normally for a pond like this, I'm throwing a hybrid hunter if it's cold. I'm throwing a weightless caffeine shad as my skunk buster, a Nico rig for out deeper, and of course, a topwater frog in the morning. But today I just feel like totally mixing it up and throwing stuff that I normally don't throw. So a swim jig, yes, Tyler, you throw it, but honestly, not a whole lot in ponds like this. A topwater walking bait, I throw it, but normally it's in ponds that are grassless. But I've seen a lot of fish busting out in the middle, which for 10 o'clock in the morning, even though it's slightly overcast, quite odd. But a chrome Strike King Sexy Dog, because I like chrome in the sun, that might work. For lure number 3, go big or go home. This is John's new bluegill glide bait called the blue collar gill, in the natural bluegill color, pink lemonade, of course. Honestly, that one's a Hail Mary. But the lure I think I'm actually gonna catch quite a few on is a light Carolina rig. And I am not a Carolina rig guy, but you'll see in either videos that just came out or ones to come, the Carolina rig is a dang boring lure, but it catches the snot out of fish, especially when they want a weightless soft plastic presented deeper and not quite in a drop shot form. Carolina rig's perfect for that. So I rigged up a Mach craw. In summer craw, my favorite color. So I'm gonna put down my Evolution bag and get to fishing. First cast with the walking bait. Honestly wish I had a smaller version and one that wasn't a 1-knocker bead. It's kind of loud. But I'll tell you what, in all my years fishing up here in Minnesota, I've just noticed sometimes in the heat of the summer, in super sunny conditions, maybe just slightly overcast, fish will come up out of deeper water to hit a walking bait pretty aggressively. See, for example, Exhibit A. Gosh, jeepers, big one, holy cow. Holy smokes. On the walking topwater, baby. Yes, sir. Woo-hoo-hoo. Had to do the old-fashioned gill plate. But that right there is a beautiful fish on the walking topwater with our 7.3 medium heavy. Now, I did make a few casts out into the middle with a swim jig, so I know it's about 5 to 8 feet deep out there in the middle. So it's definitely a little deep for a walking bait, but it can work. And again, a walking bait in open water around grass is not something I throw in a pond all that often, but I want to gain confidence in some relatively underused lures for me today. Well, my cloud cover is slowly disappearing, sadly. Last cast of my fan around with top water, and I'll put it down. Yeah, this is low percentage, but I want to catch one. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. There's a bald eagle over there. I gotta show you all this. There's no way my cameras are picking this up. That's too far away. There he is, perched on the rooftop of a residential house. Majestic is he. Look at that. As is proper, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. All right, resume the fish catching. Oh, no way, I had a fish. I had a fish. The bald eagle gave me luck. Unbelievable. That is America right there, baby. You know what, I'm gonna call this pond Eagle Pond. Pond for freedom. Now, I don't know what a bald eagle is doing in the suburbs. You know, America. All right, swim jig didn't do it at the spot. Let's go Carolina rig. All right, I had enough of the spot. Let's move down to the corner. This is as close to the corner as I'm gonna get. What a cast, what a cast, Tyler. Move this tree off to the side. We're gonna go one more little lob right there, perfect. Well, as parallel I can go here. Okay, maybe they don't want to top water now. I just keep seeing fish bust, which in a pond you can normally assume is bass in a lake. It could be white bass, could be drum, could be stinking catfish, but I guess top water may not be the jam. Any openings over this way? Here we go. Oh, I see it, I see a bluegill. Oh, there's one. Holy cow, giant. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, for a Minnesota pond, this is huge. This is huge. This is huge. Get up in here. Get up in here. Oh my gracious. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. 5-pounder. Oh my gosh. Carolina rig Mach craw down the gullet. I gotta go run this to my camera over there. Man, talk about a way to build confidence in a lure category by catching an absolute giant while doing it. Like I mentioned, Mach craw down the gullet. Let's go ahead and get that out. I've been absolutely loving this Carolina rig setup right here. I'll discuss it more in a second, but I wanna get a selfie with this fish. Just a Minnesota pond giant. I mean, Minnesota ponds are not good in general because they freeze mostly in the winter, and so the available depth of water for a fish to sit in is not much. So usually fish of this size can't live in ponds, but that is a 5-pounder, no doubt. Y'all are gonna kill me if I don't have a scale though. Of course not. And y'all know my eye scale sometimes is off, but I feel like with how long this fish is and the fact that I was around 3 different 5-pounders this week in lakes, pretty confident it's a 4.8 or more. Let's go ahead and give this baby a toss. See you, big girl. Swims away. Yes! All right, let me talk about the Carolina rig setup because I have gained so much confidence in this lure. Matter of fact, I should probably untie it. It's no longer a non-confidence lure. And that is a standard Carolina rig. Now, in my Carolina rig masterclass video I've made here on the channel, you can just search Tyler's Reel Fishing Carolina rig. You'll find that I used a piece of equipment called the Carolina Keeper to keep the weight from sliding down the line and going towards your hook and your bait. Really, nowadays, I don't use it that much. I found that it works really well at first, but after quite a few casts, the Carolina Keeper starts to loosen up in the middle and it'll slide down the line very easily. So I've just been going back to tying an old-fashioned knot to a swivel and then a swivel on a leader to my bait. Now in a pond, of course, I'm gonna drop down my entire setup. So usually lighter line, although today it's 20-pound line because I don't care. Although today, just for lack of time and laziness, I put it on my 20-pound line rod. That fish didn't care, but I definitely downsized my weight. This is a 3/16 ounce weight. Again, the same weight that I would throw just on a Texas rig. Instead, the weight is up the line. And then I put a little bobber stopper in front of the swivel to protect the knot. Although the knot being damaged from a 3/16 ounce weight, probably not gonna happen, but I still do it. And I have been loving this hook, VMC Redline. It's a 3/0, just a normal round bend hook, not the extra wide gap. It does have a really heavy gauge wire to it, so you kind of got to give them a little bit of business. And then either the Strike King Osho in 5-inch has been amazing offshore for a Carolina rig, and the Mach craw in shallower water and especially in ponds. I may never put this thing down the rest of the day because man, does that feel good. Now, one thing I noticed with all my casts so far on the Carolina rig is that, again, it allows me to feel the bottom really well. And so I cast out there in the middle. There's actually no vegetation. I thought in a pond this depth, the grass would grow pretty much toward the middle in the summertime. It hasn't. The grass is really only 25 feet or so off the bank. That's where the edge starts. Like, let me make a flip and show you kind of where my target zone. From there in is my target zone. So any cast that I make further, I'm not gonna say is wasted time, but that's when I started to feel my Carolina rig weight hit the grass. And on that side over there, which I'm guessing is the dam, judging by the shape of this pond, as soon as my bait hit that grass and I popped it once or twice, I felt the thud. And my gosh, am I glad I landed that fish. Because as y'all know, success in this series is just by catching one fish and teaching you guys what I learned. We've already done that. I feel so free the rest of the video. Well, I doubt I'm gonna catch another one right there, but might as well give it a flip. And I'm not gonna lie, part of feeling free is feeling free to throw the big glide bait, because if we got some shallow bluegill eaters, again, I've seen bluegills cruising the banks the entire time I've walked the bank. And I think I can catch one on the blue collar gill. A 7.3 heavy is not easy to get a good accurate cast with because it's so stiff, but man, does it hook them well. Now, this is not normally the direction I like to go. I like to go clockwise around a pond, but because I'm already here at the dam, I'm just gonna go ahead and fish it with the Carolina rig. Although, now that I look at this edge looks shallower than it does right there in that corner. So maybe that's the deepest part. And if that's the case, totally explains why probably one of the biggest bass in this pond is chilling right there. But look at that. That is juicy, delicious coontail. You can tell it's growing shallow because these spindles are not very far apart on the main stem. You know, just science stuff. Now, when fishing a Carolina rig, you gotta understand that the bait is supposed to be weightless behind, and therefore you should probably go a lot slower than you think you need to. So just because I can pull and feel grass and then almost immediately pull and feel grass doesn't mean I should. I should pull, feel it, pop it, and let that craw kind of hop up in the water column and then drift its way down. And then wait a few seconds for a fish to pick it up off the bottom, drag it again, let that craw go up, let it sink back down. Because I mean, a weightless craw falls so slow in the water column, and I think that's when the majority of your bites come, is not when you're pulling the weight and swivel through stuff, it's once you've stopped pulling to let that soft plastic fall weightlessly down to the bottom. And honestly, a lot of fish pick it up when it's just sitting there on the bottom. So don't be in a rush to fish a Carolina rig, just like any other finesse style lure, even though I'm throwing this on a 7.3 heavy 20-pound line. So you definitely wouldn't think that fits any finesse category, but the way this thing is meant to be fished is definitely more finessey. And if you lift up and you feel yourself getting stuck on the grass, it's probably just the weight and the swivel. So give your rod a pop like this, it'll pop right out. And then of course that probably got the craw to get way high in the water column. So definitely take your time after a big pop like that. But I've got a good feeling about the blue collar gill, y'all. All right, we have fished all across the dam, and now we're heading back to get my other rods, my camera, and do a full loop. Maybe though, as I get farther towards that northern side of the pond where it gets shallower, a cast out deeper may result in more grass and therefore being kind of more productive throughout. Oh, there we go. That was a joke. There was no fish catch there. I just had to change the GoPro battery. But for the rest of this pond, I'm gonna bring these two lures with me and leave the big camera behind. We've got, of course, the Carolina rig I've caught them on, and the blue collar gill in pink lemonade. Again, bass don't see color the exact same way we do, and so I doubt these fish have hardly seen a glide bait at all. And if they have, it's been probably a natural colored glide bait. So I might as well, with an overcast / sunny conditions, throw them something a little funky. Now, this one comes in a super chop out of the box, so I'm gonna pull the pin and make it a glide. And you do that on his glide bait by, again, pulling the pin, losing the pin. Uh-oh, there it is, we're good. Twisting in the eyes here, 2, 3, 4. We'll see if 4 times is enough. And what that did is it brought the tail section closer to the front so that it can't swivel as much, which makes it glide more than chop. Pin back in, and let's see what the glide looks like. The glide's pretty good. I think a long cast will probably get a better action than a short one will, yeah. What's going on, boys? Yeah, caught one big one actually. Really? Yes. How big is it? 5 pounds. 5 pounds? Yeah, I know. I was surprised too. How long have you been here? An hour, maybe. Like a week ago, me and him fished like 12 hours every day. Dang, y'all catch any? No. Oh man. Well, maybe there's not many in here, but they're big. Here, let me show y'all a picture. Oh my. I know, crazy. What the heck? Yeah, much bigger than I thought lived in here. So, where are y'all fishing rods? Well, go get y'all's rods, come on now. Fish or bite? Well, 2 things are true. One, the glide bait looks way better with the glide tuning and the lead wire removed off the hook. And I got 2 new fans, and I told them to go get their rods, so hopefully they'll come back and have some success. They said they didn't catch a bass in 12 hours of fishing, so I definitely feel lucky to have gotten one. And the one that I got was ginormous. It's crazy. So now begins my loop with the 2 lures I talked about, Carolina rig and swim bait. I'm gonna go ahead and bring my big camera here and the other 2 rods back to my truck. And you know what? It is fishing, so I could go skunked the rest of the day, but I'm gonna go big or go home, because I can already go home a happy camper. You know what though? I have an idea. This rod right here is the old Mach Smash. Y'all have seen it on both the 100 and 200 pound series. Probably my favorite rod combo of all time on the series, but we just launched a brand new Mach Smash, and so Lou's probably wants me using the updated version 2. So I'm gonna take off the backlash on this reel and give it to those kids. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and put some brand new line on there for them too. 15 pound basics, probably good for those guys. All right, you know what? And I'll put a lure on there that can probably catch them a fish in this pond. A 3/8 ounce tungsten thunder cricket. They're back with the fishing pole. Love it. Look at that. They rode their bikes to the pond with their rod. What do I think you should use? Yeah, this color is probably better. Here, let me set you guys up with some stuff. These swim baits, let me get you some jig heads for it. All right, come here, boys. I got to show you how this works. And you just rig the jig head up like this, and you just poke the hook out. Like if you line it up, you poke the hook out where it starts to bend. Slide it on through, rig it as straight as possible, poke it out, and then push it on up. All right, and I got one more thing for you guys. I went to my truck to rig this up. This is y'all's pole. What? You gotta share it, however you want, rock, paper, scissors, or it's y'all's to share for the rest of the summer. But I'll tell you something. I started fishing about y'all's age. I rode my bike to the pond every single day. And so when I saw you guys doing that, I said, you know what? I'll give it to you guys. So it's got fresh line on there, and that is a tungsten thunder cricket. So I think y'all will catch some good fish on that. Really? Yeah, so you're welcome, guys. Good to meet you. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna keep going around the pond to the other side, but catch some big ones for me.
It's a bait caster.
It's a bait caster. Is that y'all's first bait caster? Yeah. Love it. Man, I can't lie. That was so cool just for me to be able to do that. I'm incredibly blessed to have the opportunities and sponsors and stuff that I do. So if I can give back, especially to kids riding their bike to the pond just like I did, man, I'm gonna do it every time. They are FaceTiming all of their friends to tell them. Gosh, that makes me so happy. I love being able to do that. Let's keep on walking. Yep, as I expected, gets a whole lot shallower as we get up to this corner. And you know what? I'm gonna put the blue collar gill away and tie on the new Strike King one. Strike King partnered with Tater Hog Custom Lures to make a plastic version of his resin baits. Now I'm keeping my glide baits in this external PVC pocket here on the largemouth 3.0 bag. That was actually my idea when building this Evolution bag. So if you want to check it out, code TRF2025 saves you 20% on your entire Evolution fishing order, from the tackle boxes to tackle bags, line solutions, all different kinds of stuff. I talk about them so much here on the channel because they are just that good to me. They support me and my wife and my son and really help make this a full-time job. And they also make some really awesome products. So if the angler in your life needs a new pond bag, look no further. It definitely glides well though for a mass-produced glide. This pond definitely doesn't have many bass in it, which kind of goes along with my general theory of lakes and ponds, is that if they're not managed, you're gonna have a few big ones and a few small ones and not much in between, because the big ones will eat the small ones. Hey. Oh, what's going on?
Not much.
Having fun?
Yep. Catching anything?
Caught one big one.
Really?
Yeah, 5-pounder.
What's your YouTube channel?
Tyler's Real Fishing.
All right, thanks, man.
Yeah. This pond feels like a fever dream. That kid is driving through the overgrown pond side on an off-road electric scooter. Like that's not even like any old thing. Oh, to be a kid again. Although I do fish for a living, so in a way I still feel like a kid. But comment down below if I need to do a 200 ponds episode on an off-road electric scooter. Goodness, this pond's overgrown. It's nice though. A lot of anglers obviously have fished here because there's tons of flattened down spaces to stand and make casts from. And I know it's low percentage, but I really feel like there's some giant in here that wants to eat the glide. Maybe even bigger than the one that I caught. And you know, as I've thrown this swim bait, I've been shocked at the lack of total followers I've gotten. I've gotten 0 followers, at least that I've seen all the way to the bank. Normally, at least a small fish or two will follow it in. I've had none of that. So I definitely think population of bass is very low in this pond. Man, what in tarnation? I see now why these kids caught 0 fish in 12 hours, because I think I got incredibly lucky with the one I got. You know what though, maybe that's all God has for me today, is one big one to lift my spirits and a little bit of rod, reel, and tackle giveaway to lift somebody else's. What's going on, boys? Hello. You backlashed the reel yet? Yep. I figured. You were working on it over there for a while.
We had to cut some line.
Okay, gotcha. Here,
can we get a picture?
Of course we can. I knew you'd probably get a backlash, so that should be at least enough for one more spool.
Oh, thanks.
Yes. Heck yeah, and let's get a selfie together. What in the world is this?
Sticks to
Whoa,
That's cool.
That's crazy. 3, 2, 1. All right, see you boys. Well, y'all, that was a dang fun pond. And I don't mean that the fishing was fantastic, because I only caught one fish. Now, granted, it was a big one. I'm never gonna turn that down. But honestly, one of my favorite parts of this job is that I get to interact with so many awesome fishermen all around the country, whether it's at expo events like the Bassmaster Classic or just random kids fishing a pond. That's what I love about this job. And I hope today, not only those kids were blessed by the gear that, again, I'm so blessed to have so much of that, I'm gonna give away as much of it as I can. But my hope with that gear is that it would give them a fresh, revitalized passion for bass fishing that hopefully carries far into their adulthood. That's why I do this job. So as always, I will have the exact gear I was using, this one being my new Carolina rig combo. It hasn't been a Carolina rig combo in the past, but it works just fine for that. Mach Crush 7.3 heavy, medium heavy would work just fine. Anywhere from 15 to 20 pound fluorocarbon, this having 20 because I throw it in some heavy cover stuff, and the Mach Craw, my favorite pond Carolina rig bait, and a weight no larger than 3/16. Thanks again to Brunt for sponsoring this episode. My name is Tyler. If you want to watch the last episode in the 200 Pond series, it'll be clickable up here in this corner. It is a dang pleasure, as always, to have this as my job and have you guys as my viewers, and we'll see y'all next time right here on TRF.